Welcome back to ICNV Driver's Edition. In today's video, we're going to talk about why are the Corvette C8 prices so high. It's been 2 years since it's actually hit the market and prices have not come down. People are still paying over a premium, and from the looks of it, it doesn't like that would change anytime soon. So today, we're going to get into the reasons why the Corvette C8 prices are so high. Let's go. When it comes to American sports cars, many people think of only one car, and that's the Chevy Corvette. A sports car so iconic is known simply as the Vette. Some will say there's a Mustang or some version of a Mopar vehicle that challenges the Corvette for the American sports car title. But when you think of an American sport car that challenges supercars with its stock performance and has the biggest following in the country, it's hard to think of any other vehicle than a Corvette. With that being said, when GM decided to take America's most iconic sports car and give it the supercar characteristics at a remarkably low price, you knew the sports car market would never be the same. So why are Corvettes selling so high above MSRP? The simple and most basic answer is supply and demand. There are more potential buyers of the vehicle than actual production vehicles for sale. It's easy to blame the pandemic for this, but it was more than just COVID. Before COVID really struck the U.S., GM had strikes to address that delayed the production of the C8, which in some forms of media outlets stated that this would affect GM's production numbers and delay the vehicles being introduced into some foreign markets. As Americans, no one cared about those units, but there was an article released stating that there was over 40,000 orders waiting to be filled for a 2020 Corvette. Now there's where the games begin. The projected production numbers for 2020 were supposed to be 40,000 units with 35,000 in the US, but end up only being at 20,368 with 3,581 being hardtop convertibles or HTCs. Even if GM would have met their production numbers, the C8 still would have sold at a premium in most locations. The last two generations of the Corvette had a similar impact, but due to less social media involvement, it went under the radar. The first year a new version of the Corvette is released, most sell for a premium, usually around $5,000 to $10,000 over MSRP. With a projected 40,000 orders waiting to be filled and an expected 35,000 cars to hit the U.S. market, there were dealers already charging $5,000 premiums to submit orders, and in some cases holding off on submitting actual orders for customers to get their own vehicle so they could sell it at a premium even higher. So without any COVID factors, there would have been around 10,000 carryover orders to 2021 anyway. So let's add COVID to the mix and get the obvious causes for increased prices out the way. With COVID came plant closures, part shortages, and so forth, ultimately limiting the amount of vehicles GM could produce, hence simple supply and demand, which increased the prices of the vehicle. We good? Now that we got that out the way, let's get more in depth into the rising C8 prices. What is the Chevy Corvette C8? Depending on who you ask, you would get several different answers. Some might say it's the poor man's Ferrari. Well, there's a market for that. Others might say it's the best Corvette ever. There's a market for that. It's an affordable supercar. Well, there's a market for that. The best American sports car ever made. Guess what? There's a market for that. You may even hear it's the best performance vehicle created, giving you the best bang for your buck. And it goes on and on and on with many different reasons as to what the description of the C8 is. And I'm sure you understand by this point, every reason there's a market for it. So what I'm getting at is that the Corvette appeals to more variety of buyers than ever before. I saw a stat that said in the first 3 years of ownership, the average age of the C7 was 48 and the C8 currently is 38 to 40. There are more younger buyers of this vehicle than before. Where are these younger buyers coming from? You have owners or people that are considering Nissan GTRs, Jaguar F-Types, Mustang Cobra, and R8 Gen 1 buyers who are purchasing this vehicle. So even at $5,000 to $10,000 above MSRP, to some of these buyers, these are bargains. The next reason the prices are high, the Corvette can be considered an entry-level supercar. So for many like myself, who was looking at an Acura NSX 2017 to 2018, hopefully certified, an Audi R8 2017 to 2019 certified, and a Porsche Carrera S 2020, the C8 performs right alongside these vehicles, hands down. But the technology is equivalent, if not better, than most of these vehicles I listed. Not to mention its storage capabilities and the warranty you get with the vehicle trumps all the other cars I listed hands down. So even at $20K over MSRP, it's still a bargain considering anything that directly rivals it would cost you around $128,000. So paying $12,000 over wasn't a major issue when I was initially looking to spend $138,000 or less on my next supercar vehicle. When I talked to a lot of C8 owners that paid $20,000 over MSRP for their vehicle, these buyers mentioned another vehicle they were considering first for the mid six-figure price range. These people look at the C8 as a toy and apparently have money to play with because resale value isn't their concern. Strategic planning by GM also keeps prices high. I know you wasn't expecting to hear this, but by pushing back and postponing the release of a more powerful version of the vehicle, it helps keep the value of the current cars and previous vehicles high because you can't do anything better than what you can currently get on the market. This forces customers to choose between having a vehicle or going into a bidding war for a limited production, higher performing model. There are dealers with wait lists currently of over 500 people for a Z06, and many of these people believe they will get a vehicle for MSRP, even if it means waiting until 2025 to get a car. Because no actual production numbers have been announced yet for the car, market value hasn't been determined, although several dealers are expecting less than 12,000 models for the first year and 15,000 for the second, with a market adjustment between $15,000 and $30,000. I was told that getting this for the car shouldn't be a problem because dealers are expecting a huge influx of true supercar owners to show interest in the brand, which means even more buyers for the new Chevy C8. Without a higher performance model and colors being the only true difference in vehicles for the first 3 years, there's really no major benefit in prolonging a purchase, which is why many people are now considering purchasing a vehicle as some form of a markup. Which now leads me to patience. With all the hiccups that keep limiting the C8 production numbers, more buyers are starting to realize they can own a car today for the money they will pay if they wait tomorrow. So the question is, why not own a car today instead of waiting down the line and paying an increase anyway? Each year the price of the car has went up. To include the most desirable packages, the difference between the 2020 and the 2022 Corvette with the most common selected options is just under $5,000. And a fully loaded optioned out 3LT is $7,000. When you look at the fact there are still people who put down deposits in spring of 2020 waiting to be selected for a 2022 bill, they could have paid the $5,000 to $10,000 markup and had a car 20 to 30 months prior. Okay, maybe not 30, but you get my point. Not to mention, a lot of the "I'll wait to see what the bugs are" delayed buyers are considering the reasonable markups today versus waiting 12 to 24 months for a similar car they can drive today. So, as more people start to weigh their options of paying a markup or a premium for a vehicle and owning a vehicle today instead of waiting a year or longer for a vehicle, paying some form of a premium to own the car is becoming the norm, which only helps limit the amount of vehicles available on the market, which still keeps the prices high. The last fact I would talk about is one that most aren't aware of or refuse to acknowledge, and that's the foreign market. With the limited production numbers, GM completely ignored the foreign markets for 2020, and for 2021 said they would target 3,000 plus cars to the overseas markets, which was supposed to be part of the ending 2021 production vehicles. So you have foreign brokers currently purchasing C8s for international clientele at 30 to 40K over MSRP. Most foreign markets were expecting prices to be anywhere around 115 to 160,000 US dollars with their anticipated premiums. So there are people in some European markets that have to do little to no adjustments at all to the vehicle, getting 3 LTs for 120K, feeling like they got a bargain. I've read articles and posts from people in right-handed drive markets that explain they paid $188,000 for their vehicles to include the conversion costs. So until GM builds enough vehicles to meet the demand of the foreign market, more foreigners are starting to consider the brokerage option. As long as the Corvette C8 has a high demand and the demand is not met, then the cars will continue to sell for a premium. Despite in 2021, the production numbers being up on cars, there are dealerships with over 500 people on their waiting list to order a brand new C8. So the demand doesn't seem to be dying down anytime soon. And as long as these numbers continue to grow, you see more people saying, I can take a slight markup to get behind the wheel today. So thanks to GM building such a remarkable vehicle and the Corvette being such an American icon, so with the new European style, as many proclaim it to be, or just its first ever true look at being a supercar, it continues to turn the market upside down. That's my beliefs and my opinion on why the Corvette C8 is still selling at a premium, and it doesn't appear to be coming down anytime soon. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you think, if you agree, if you disagree. Either way, we can talk about it. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe button. You can always share the video too. I appreciate it. ICNV Drivers Edition. And this is why the Corvette C8 prices are still high and they're selling for a premium. Thanks for tuning in.